welcome back to Wake Up with Juice. I'm Juice. Before we get into today's episode, I want to start with something simple, the things that make me me. A lot of people know me for my disabilities story, ADHD, and learning disability, hearing loss, and that's real. That's part of my life. But I'm also a huge sports person. Like, if you know me, you know I can talk about bowling for way longer than anyone expects. There's something about lining up that shot, taking that breath, feeling the weight of the ball in your hand, watching it roll that strike. It's peaceful. It's focus. It's joy. Basketball, now that's a rhythm. That's a team game. That's the sound of sneakers on the court and the feeling of a good pass. The kind where you don't even have to think. Your body just knows what to do. Football and baseball, those are the strategy. Those are community. Those are the sports where you feel the energy of the crowd, even if you're just watching from home. They're the sports where you can predict plays, argue about calls, and celebrate the little moments. Sports gives me a place where I don't have to overthink. I don't have to explain myself. I can just be me. And that's what today's episode is about. Being more than one thing. Being disabled and joyful. Being disabled into sports. Being disabled into routines, in sunlight, snowfall, and whatever else makes you feel alive. So today, we're talking about what it means to be a whole person, not just one story. Squeeze of the day. A little disability, a little life. Living with ADHD and learning disability and hearing loss is part of my reality. But it's not the only reality. Some mornings, my ADHD brain wakes up before I do. It like someone hits the play all button on every thought I've ever had, plans, memories, random ideas, things I forgot to do, things I want to do, things I'll probably never do, still think about it. It's loud, it's fast, it's a lot. Other mornings, my learning disability is the thing I feel most. Maybe I'm trying to read something and the words just aren't sticking. Maybe I'm trying to understand something. It takes me longer than I want it to. Maybe I'm frustrated because I know I'm capable. I just need a different route. And then there are mornings where my hearing loss is the main character. Maybe I miss part of a sentence. Maybe background noise makes everything harder. Maybe I'm tired from listening so hard the day before. People don't realize how much energy listening takes when you're working with less sound than everyone else. But here's the thing. Some mornings, none of that is the headline. Some mornings, I'm just thinking about whether I can get a bowling game in this week, or whether my team is going to win, or whether I should try a new basketball drill, or whatever. I should wear my favorite hoodie because it's freezing inside. We're allowed to be whole people, disabled and joyful, disabled and stressed, disabled and silly, disabled and ambitious, disabled and human. I want to tell you about the small win of the day. The small win of the day is you don't have to fit into one box. What we're learning here is the idea, what we're letting go of here is the idea that your identity doesn't have to be a single headline. It could be so much more. Today's juice boost is thought for the day. You're allowed to talk about your disability when you want to and talk about other things when you don't. You don't owe anyone a constant explanation. You don't have to be the educator every time you show up. You don't have to perform your story for people to take you seriously. Some days, the most disabled thing about me is my energy level. Other days, the most important thing about me is the game I'm excited to watch. Some days, I'm thinking about access needs. And other days, I'm thinking about breakfast. You're allowed to be complicated. You're allowed to be layered. You're allowed to be a full human being with interests, passions, frustrations, and joy. That have nothing to do with disability. And that's not ignoring your disability. That's honoring your whole self. So today, give yourself permission to be more than one thing. Talk about what lights you up, Talk about what annoys you. Talk about what makes you laugh. Talk about what makes you feel grounded. You're not a single issue person. You're a whole story. Fresh pressed story, a moment in the cold. Okay, let me shift gears. Because life is more than one story. This week, I had one of those tiny moments that made me smile, even in the middle of winter. And if you live where I live, in Chicago, you know winter is not playing around. I live in a cold, snowy climate, the kind where the air stings your face a little when you step outside, and the snow piles up on the sidewalk like it's trying to build its own little mountain range. Winter here is a whole personality. It slows everything down. It makes you bundle up. It makes you think twice before leaving the house. It makes you question every life choice when the wind hits you at the wrong angle. But the other day, I stepped outside and the snow was falling in that soft, quiet way. The kind where everything feels muffled. Like the world turned volume down just for a moment. Streetlights were catching the flakes, and it looked like glitter drifting through the air. For a second, I wasn't thinking about school. I wasn't thinking about combinations. I wasn't thinking about what I missed hearing. I wasn't thinking about what I needed to get done. I was just standing there in the cold, watching the snow fall, feeling the world slow down around me. And it reminded me that joy doesn't have to be loud or warm or perfect. Sometimes it's a quiet snowfall. Sometimes it's the crunch of fresh snow under your boots. Sometimes it's the way winter forces you to pause, breathe, and notice the world in a different way. Those little moments matter. They're part of the story too. Okay, let's take a little time for the daily pour and time to reflect. Let's take a deep breath. Let your shoulders drop. Unclench your jaw. Feel your feet on the ground. Say this with me. I have more than one story. I'm allowed to be many things. I don't have to choose between them. All parts of me belong. And since today is all about being your full self, I want you to leave you with a quote that really fits. Be yourself. Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Simple, true, and honestly, something we all need to hear more often, especially with social media in the mix. Because here's the thing. Social media shows up the best angles, the best moments, the best lighting. It's a highlight reel, not a full story. You don't have to look like what you see online. You don't have to move at the pace of the people you follow. You don't have to match someone else's version of success or joy. You're allowed to be real. You're allowed to be messy. You're allowed to grow at your own speed. You're allowed to show up exactly as you are, not as a filtered version of yourself. Carry that with you today. Let it shape how you move, how you rest, how you show up, how you talk to yourself. Before we go, I would like to give a weekly challenge. I want you to try this with me. Before we wrap up today, I want you to leave with a weekly challenge. Something small, something doable, something that helps you grow into your whole self. Here it is. This week, I want you to notice one part of yourself that doesn't always get the spotlight. It can give it some attention. It could be a hobby you haven't touched in a while, a part of your personality you don't always show, a dream you've been keeping quiet, a joy that feels small but real, or even a feeling that you've been ignoring. Whatever it is, I want you to spend just a little time with. Name it, honor it, let it breathe. Because you're more than what people see. You're more than what social media shows. You're more than the labels people give. You're a whole story. And every chapter deserves a moment. We'll check in next week and build it together. With next week's guest, on to next week. Thanks for waking up with me. Thanks for waking up with me on Wake Up with Juice. Remember, this podcast isn't just about disability. It's about life, connection, joy, frustration, connectivity, sports, sunlight, snowfall, and everything in between. And I'm really excited about next week because I won't be waking up alone. I'll be bringing in our very first guest, someone with her own story, their own perspective, and her own lived experience. She's going to share what it's like to move through her world and her body, with her identity with her challenges, and with her joy. We're going to talk, laugh, reflect, and show what it looks like when two people bring their full selves to the table. So make sure you come back for that. It's going to be a good one. I'll see you next time. Same juice.